making his Major League debut for the Cincinnati Reds Saturday night as the Reds play host to the Houston Astros. In the top of the first with 2 outs, a man on second base. Luis Gonzalez with the ground ball double down the third base line. Steve Finley scores to make it 1-0 Houston for Gonzalez, his 30th RBI of the season. Things don't get any better for Minutelli in the second inning. He suffers an apparent groin injury, decides to stay in the game at first. Then he reconsiders and he does leave the game in the top half of the second. Here is the pitch on which Minutelli injured himself. Nothing really is visible on the play, but Minutelli does leave the game and he is replaced by Don Carmen in the top of the second. In the bottom of the second inning with 1 out, Jeff Reed on first base. It's Billy Hatcher with the ground ball double down the third base line. Luis Gonzalez with the throw to second base, but nobody's covering the bag. That allows Reed to score. Billy Hatcher goes on to third base. The game is tied at 1. Hatcher later came home to score on Carmen's RBI groundout that made it 2-1 Reds. In the bottom of the third, Darryl Kyle strikes out Barry Larkin. Kyle allowed 2 runs, 1 earned, and 9 hits over 7 innings as he improved to 2-2. Larkin singled and doubled, but failed to tie the Major League record for homers in a 3-game span. He had hit 5 homers in his previous 2 games. In the bottom of the fourth, Hatcher with the ground ball single up the middle. Steve Finley throws out Jeff Reed, who tries to score from second base. Craig Biggio applies the nice tag. In the top of the fifth, Casey Candel drills a leadoff home run over the left field wall, his first of the year. That tied the game at 2. In the fifth, still with 2 outs now, it's Jeff Bagwell with a 2-run home run. His 6th of the year comes with Steve Finley on board. That makes it 4-2 Houston. The Astros go on to win by the final of 6-2 as Craig Biggio added a solo home run in the top of the ninth. Carmen takes the loss. He falls to 0-2. Jim Clancy with his 4th save.
Night as the New York Mets host the Philadelphia Phillies. We start in the top of the first inning. Wally Whitehurst, the starting pitcher for the Mets, strikes out John Kruk of the Philadelphia Phillies to end the top of the first inning. Kruk did not like the call, so he gets into an argument with home plate umpire Charlie Relaford. Relaford throws Kruk out of the game for arguing balls and strikes, and here comes Jim Fregosi, the manager of the Phillies. And there goes Jim Fregosi from the game. Charlie Relaford, the home plate umpire, throwing out Jim Fregosi and John Kruk in the top of the first inning. And there's Eric Gregg trying to restore peace. This game was a pitcher's duel between Wally Whitehurst and Terry Mulholland through 5 innings. And then in the bottom of the 5th inning, there was a rain delay. The Mets had men on first and second with no outs. And then when play was resumed, Kevin Elster got a bunt single. And Terry Mulholland threw the ball away for an error. And this scored Tommy Herr from second base, and the Mets led 1-0. Then with the Mets leading 2-0, Gary Templeton lines a single to left field, scoring Elster from third base, giving the Mets a 3-0 lead. The Mets led 4-0 after 5 innings. Moving now to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Mets still leading 4-0, Kevin McReynolds at the plate, and he will line a solo home run to left field, home run number 7 for McReynolds, and this gave the Mets a 5-0 lead. And 5-0 would be the final score. Wally Whitehurst was the winner. He's 4-4. The loser, Terry Mulholland, drops to 6-8. And as we advertised early in this package, it was fireworks night at Shea Stadium. The Mets defeat the Phillies 5-0. From Wrigley Field on Saturday afternoon, the Chicago Cubs hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. We start in the bottom of the first inning. Andre Dawson grounds a ball to Todd Zeile, who throws high to second base. Ryan Sandberg is safe at second. Mark Gray scores from third, and the Cubs led 1-0. Then later in the bottom of the first inning, with Chicago leading 2-0, Sean Dunston hits a single to left center field, scoring Andre Dawson from second base, and the Cubs led 3-0. Then later in the bottom of the first inning, Rick Wilkins belts a 3-run home run to right center field, home run number 4 for Wilkins, and the Cubs led 6-0 after 1 inning. The Cubs would not score again in this game, but 6 runs would be enough for a victory. Here in the top of the second inning, the Cardinals start to come back. Tom Pagnazzi belts a triple to the right center field gap. It scores Pedro Guerrero and Milt Thompson, and the score is 6-2 Chicago. Moving now to the top of the 4th inning, Tom Pagnazzi will get his 3rd RBI of the game. Here he belts a double to the left center field gap. It scores Felix Jose from second base, and the score was 6-3 Chicago. Moving now to the top of the 9th inning, the Cardinals almost pulled this game out. Here, Ray Langford facing Paul Ossenmacher, and Langford hits a single to right center field. It scores Craig Wilson from third base, and the score was 6-4 Chicago. The next batter up in the top of the 9th inning was Pedro Guerrero, and he came to the plate with men on first and third and 2 outs. but Paul Ossenmacher, the relief pitcher for the Cubs, gets Guerrero to ground out for the final out. The Cubs hold on to defeat the Cardinals 6-4.
They host Joe Morgan and the Boston Red Sox on Saturday afternoon. Baltimore's Juan Bell has some trouble with the sun in the top of the first as he loses this pop-up. Baltimore took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first on Sam Horn's RBI double. And Roy Smith, who's making the start for Baltimore, gets some help in the top of the third. Steve Lyons with the drive to deep right field. The ball goes off Joe Orsulak's glove. Luis Rivera trying to score from first base, but Juan Bell with the perfect throw home on the relay. And Chris Hoyles applies the tag. Rivera is out at home plate. Baltimore remains up 1-0. As we take another look, this perfect throw home by Juan Bell. He gets Luis Rivera trying to score from first base. And not that it mattered here, but it is duly noted that Juan Bell did put on his sunglasses after losing that pop-up in the sun back in the top of the first. In the bottom of the third with 2 outs, Cal Ripken Jr. with his 16th home run of the season. This one off Danny Darwin. That puts Baltimore up 2-0. In the bottom of the fourth now, the Orioles take a 3-0 lead courtesy of Randy Milligan's leadoff home run in the fourth. This one over the left field wall, his 8th of the season. It's 3-0 Baltimore. In the top of the sixth, Wade Boggs will break up the shutout by Roy Smith with a 2-run home run, his 5th of the season. It picks up Jody Reed, makes it 3-2 Baltimore, and that was all for Smith as he was replaced by Kevin Hickey on the mound. Baltimore will manage to open up their lead as they squeeze a few more runs out of the Boston Red Sox. Glenn Davis in the Baltimore dugout giving us the okay sign, and in the bottom of the sixth, it was Joe Orsulak's RBI double that made it 4-2 Orioles. And then it's Chris Hoyles with his 9th RBI of the season. He hits the seeing eye single to left field. Randy Milligan scores. It's 5-2 Baltimore. In the bottom of the seventh, Randy Milligan with the sacrifice bunt. Darryl Irvine dives off the mound, but he can't come up with the ball. He makes the wild throw to first base. Cal Ripken Jr. scores to make it 7-2 Baltimore. That was ruled a single. Roy Smith was the winning pitcher here. He's 4-1. Darwin falls to 3-5. Sam Horn and the Orioles over Boston by the final of 7-3.
Saturday afternoon for the Tigers as they took on the Cleveland Indians, but things didn't start out so bright. Top of the second inning, Albert Bell with a solo homer to left field. His 10th home run of the year, RBI 32 for Bell, 1-0 Cleveland. 1 out, 2 on, bottom of the second inning now when Rob Deere goes the opposite way to the right center field gap. In comes Mickey Tettleton and Dave Bergman for the Tigers. RBI 40 and 41 for Deere, 2-0 Detroit. 3-1 now when Lou Whitaker will drive the ball to right center field. It will go off the wall. Alex Cole misplays his ball as it bounced off the wall and away from him. Tony Phillips comes in to score RBI 31 for Whitaker, and that gave the Tigers a 4-1 lead. Alan Trammell would be up next, and he'd cap off the 6-run second inning for the Tigers as he crushes a 2-run homer to left field into the seats. Home run number 6 for Trammell. He picks up Whitaker, RBI 29 and 30, and it's 6-1 Detroit. Move now to the bottom of the 5th inning with the score 7-3. Travis Fryman will double down the third base line into the left field corner. Mickey Tettleton came in to score RBI 40 for Fryman, and Detroit is up 8-3 over the Indians. Top of the 6th inning, Detroit starter Rusty Meacham making his major league debut. Struck out Brooke Jacoby to end the 6th inning. Sparky Anderson got 7 innings out of Meacham, who allowed 3 runs on 7 hits. Top of the 8th inning, Brooke Jacoby would strike back, but against John Cerruti as he gets a base hit to center field. In comes Carlos Baerga, 8-4 Detroit. Bottom of the 8th inning, Cecil Fielder would close out the scoring as he launches a solo homer into the upper deck off of Doug Jones. His 18th homer of the year, RBI 60 for Fielder. 9-4 Detroit is the final score. Meacham the winner, he's 1-0. Charles Nagy the loser, he's 3-9. Henneman came in to pick up his 11th save. The Twins and the White Sox, 1-0 Chicago in the bottom of the first, when Kirby Puckett hits a 2-run homer to center field off of Chicago starter Greg Hibbard. Number 10 for Puckett, he picks up Chuck Knobloch. He has now 42 RBIs this season, and it's 2-1 Minnesota. Chili Davis will follow up the Puckett homer with a solo shot of his own to center field. His major league leading 19th homer this year. He now has 51 RBI, 3-1 Minnesota. Top of the 4th, Dan Pasqua up for Chicago, and he hits a solo shot over the trash bag in right field. His 7th of the year, RBI 21 for Pasqua. and that cut Minnesota's lead to 3-2. Bottom of the fifth inning now, Lance Johnson out in center field would make a great defensive play as he'll make the unbelievable backhanded grab in right center field on that Greg Gagne sinking line drive, and then throws to first base to double off Junior Ortiz. Ortiz was already on the third base, thinking that the Gagne hit would drop in, but it didn't as Johnson makes this unbelievable catch and doubled him off first. Top of the seventh inning, the White Sox rally to take the lead. Ozzie Guillen will start it off with a base hit to center field. Sammy Socha comes in to score RBI 17 for Guillen. The game is tied at 3. First and a second now for Tim Raines, and he'll double to right field off of the wall. Lance Johnson and Ozzie Guillen come in to score from first and second. RBI 27 and 28 for Raines. The White Sox now have a 2-run lead at 5-3. And that would be it for Twin starter Scott Erickson, who saw his 12-game winning streak snapped. But he got a nice standing ovation from the Metrodome crowd. Dan Pasco will then greet Steve Bedrosian with a triple to right field. Raines and Robin Ventura scored. 7-3 Chicago. They go on to win 8-4. Greg Hibbard the winner. He's 6-6. Erickson got the loss. He drops to 12-3.